Hello, this is Jason Akers from the Self-Sufficient Gardener podcast with some more front porch reviews. So I'm actually not at the cabin today. I'm at the place where I'm staying until the cabin's completed, but I want to get a few front porch reviews off, and here I am on a front porch, so I figured might as well knock a few out. So just want to do some reviews of some books I've received recently, either purchased from Amazon or actually got sent. First one we have today is Caleb Warnock's The Forgotten Skills of Self-Sufficiency Used by the Mormon Pioneers. And it's a thin book, but there's something to be said about thinner books that have more information packed into smaller spaces. Actually, this one was sent to me by Bonneville Books, www.cedarfort.com. They're out of Utah, which makes sense because this is dealing with Mormon type history. Actually, it's pretty cool. I must be coming up in the world. This is an advanced reader's copy. So they actually sent this to me for review, free of cost. I appreciate that. So I'm going to try to give them the best review I can, but I'm going to be dead honest with you. There's it's a little thin, first of all. Second of all, there's not a great wide swath of issues they deal with as far as self-sufficiency goes. They deal with vegetable gardening, they deal with raising chickens, they deal with storing your food, and they deal with recipes for your food, for like forgotten recipes. But that's not what I find most interesting in this book. What I find most interesting in this book is not the range of the topics it covers, but rather the connection it keeps with history. I'm not a Mormon myself. I respect that religion. Don't get me wrong. I respect all religions. But if I was, I'd find this book even probably more interesting, just based on the history. There's a lot of history in it from the pioneers, the Mormon pioneers that went west to settle Utah and places like that. And that's where the real meat comes in. That's where the real interesting parts in this book come in. The book does have a lot of information in it, don't get me wrong. It's got, here's a chapter on just growing your own seed. But when you put it against the context of the Mormon pioneers and what they did, there's little segments all the way along to like learn from the pioneers. So journal entries and things like that. I mean, that's where this book is really, really interesting. You're not going to pick up this book tomorrow and go out and start gardening. You're not going to pick up this book tomorrow and go out and start getting chickens. There's other books for that. There's other books that cover that better. But this book will help connect, what did the Mormon pioneers do when they went into Utah and places out west like that? What were they looking for? What did they find helped them? What did they find worked? And I always say we need to learn from history and people that did it before us, our ancestors and things like that. And there's no better example than this book. Like I said, you're just not going to pick the book up and go do some of the things it tells you to do in here. You're going to need additional sources. But at least for the history, and at least for just the general interest in getting started, it's a pretty good book. So I do recommend you picking it up, especially if you're of the Mormon faith. I think it's one of those things that will help connect you if it's geared towards another faith or geared towards another person. I would say those people should pick it up. It's interesting for all people, but especially if I were a Mormon, I'd want to read this, especially to know where I came from, where my past history was. But pretty good book. I do recommend you picking it up. Just like I said, don't pick it up with the intent of I'm gonna go out and start a garden tomorrow based on this book. But as far as information goes, it's pretty interesting. Pretty good book.